Welcome to another video from Never a Truer Word, looking at Chris Antos again, husband of Shana DiMambro. It's the third video in the series. We're going to come to a conclusion from looking at all his words. What is he up to? This is Never a Truer Word. We look at the words that people use and try and decode them, try and analyze them to find out what is going on underneath. Where is the truth and where is there possible deception? If you look at neveratruerword.com, you'll see articles there looking at the principles that we use to analyze people's words. But there's two big ones that you should pay lots of attention to just to get through the video. That is, people generally don't like to lie. They'll go to great lengths to avoid telling lies. It's much easier to not say something than construct a whole web of lies. And the words that we choose to use reveal a lot. We pick those words deliberately. Why do we pick them? What's going on in our thought processes that make us pick those words? So let's look at Chris Antos. The first two videos are on the channel for you to watch if you want to pick up with them before this one. A reminder of the timeline. July the 19th this year, Chris reports that Shana, his wife, is missing. On July the 26th, Chris gives a TV interview, which is what we are analysing today. On July the 29th, Shana's body was found not far from where she and Chris lived. And August the 5th, the police say there is no evidence of a criminal offence around the death of Shana. In the first two videos, I picked up a couple of concerns. I was concerned that something happened the night before Chris reported Shana was missing. So that would be Monday, July the 18th. I think his descriptions of him discovering that Shana was missing and also his descriptions of him searching for her, they didn't hang together for me. I thought they were misleading. They were deceptive. And the other thing to think about is that he has mentioned Shana's mental state a lot, calling it darkness or sadness. So let's have a look at some more words from that TV interview. The interviewer asks, "Can you be a little bit more specific about the sadness she was going through? Was there an argument?" And Antos says, No, just her past. You know, we're believers, of course. And I think she just, there was some issues that she had, mentioned to me about, just her past and things she had done and being, I don't think that God obviously forgives everybody for their sins. That's where we go off. I think she had a hard time believing herself and for forgiving herself for things in her past, and she was dark, just some darkness, The interviewer's asked a compound question here. That's two questions in one. Now, they can be a liar's delight because you can focus on the one part of the question that you're really happy dealing with and not the part of the question that you're not happy dealing with. However, if you're alert for that, if you're looking at it and you see a compound question, two questions in one, so you can note which part of the compound question does someone deal with. Therefore, there's some sensitivity, there's some stress caused by the other part of that question, and that looks like the case here. The interviewer, the two questions they ask are, can you be a little bit more specific about the sadness? And also, was there an argument? And Chris says, no. And he doesn't say what he's saying no to. He doesn't say, no, there wasn't an argument. He doesn't say, no, I can't be more specific about the sadness. He just says, no. Now, the rest of this does seem to address her state of mind. So I think this is him going to the specific about the sadness thing. But he certainly doesn't explicitly say, no, there was no argument. He then talks about Shana's state of mind. And he puts all the blame on the mental state is on Shana. There's no sense of togetherness, that they were dealing with this together, that they spoke about it. Look, he takes a lot of words there on your screen to say very, very little, to illuminate us very little as to what her mental state was. And he says I think she had a hard time believing herself. Again, there doesn't seem to be any, certainly if this is true, there doesn't seem to be much connection between the pair of them in talking about his wife's mental state. He mentions her past a lot in this section, so much so that I wonder if it was him who had issues with her past rather than Shana, because he mentions it so often. And beyond these vague descriptions of darkness or sadness, that the past is the only concrete concept that comes through in these words to me. You're giving this interview a week after your wife has gone missing. Why are you mentioning she's a sinner in your eyes? God obviously forgives everybody for their sins. Why are you mentioning that? Why are you putting her in that position, putting her down, mentioning that she's maybe not in your eyes or in God's eyes a good person? Why mention that? I do not like that. The interviewer then asks, was she depressed? And Antos says, there was depression involved, yes, without a doubt. What? Involved in what? He doesn't say, but he mentions involved. It could mean involved in her low mental state, but that could be said much more clearly and simply. Was she depressed? Yes, she's depressed. Or yes, she was suffering from depression would be really clear. So what's involved got to do with it? What is the depression involved in? What is there to be involved in? The interviewer's next question, and a cell phone. Does she have a cell phone? Antos, it was all here. The Comal County Sheriff has it now. They're going to try to get a little bit deeper into it, so they have that. But there was no text or no phone calls that we could find where there was anything. Yeah, her phone was here, keys were here, wallet's here, dog is here. She loves her dog. Maisie is it's the only baby we have, and so it's very odd. You know, depression's powerful, but at the same time, you know, she had a lot to live for and a lot to believe in. So, again, he's got a question. He's got a hard time answering the question. Does she have a cell phone? Yeah, she has a cell phone. No, his first words are, it was all here. I think Chris has got a story that he wants to tell in this interview. I think he's got some things prepared in his head that he wants to get across, and that's that she left all her possessions behind. So that's the first thing he says, is the story that he's sort of thought about beforehand that he's prepared to tell. It was all here. And then he has to work that around. So from his prepared story, his prepared facts, he has to work around how he's then going to make that fit the question, does she have a cell phone? So he starts talking about the fact the sheriff's got it. He starts talking about the fact there were no texts, no phone calls that we could find. He wasn't asked were there any texts or phone calls in it. The question was, does she have a cell phone? I presume, have you tried calling her, or did she leave it behind? But then he again answers more than he was asked. And finally, about halfway through those words, he says, yeah, her phone was here. If you like this video, please press the like button so other people can find it and share what is going on here. And if you want to get more videos like this and be notified of when they happen, if you press the subscribe button, then that should happen and you should be able to watch more like this. What's missing from Chris Antos' words? What hasn't he said that we would expect to see there? Still no concern for his wife's well-being or welfare. She's been missing for a week. He shows that he doesn't show any sign that he's worried about her, that he's concerned about how she's doing or how she's coping or what's happened to her. He shows none of that whatsoever, not even hopeful that she's safe, and no optimism that she'll come back whatsoever, and no desire to have her back. All he is talking about is the fact that she is missing, and he doesn't even talk about that much. He talks more about the state of mind, how she was before she went missing. I've studied 6 minutes of Chris Antos' words as well, and he referred to Shana by her name only once in those 6 minutes. The rest of the time, it's she and her. That suggests to me a little bit of distance, that he has a bit of distance from Shana, certainly in his mind. For reference, the dog also gets referred to by name once. So the dog gets as many mentions by name as Shana. Let's go back to that timeline. So Chris gave this interview on July the 26th. So that's 1 week after he reported that Shana is missing. Now, look at how he refers to her in the present tense sometimes and the past tense in other times in the words we've looked in. So there in blue, we're believers. So we, him and her, are believers, present tense. And then when he's referring to her singularly, so not the pair of them, but just her, I think she had a hard time believing herself. Doesn't anymore. Used to, once upon a time, but he's certainly not giving any indication that she's having a hard time in the present tense, in the present time with that tense. And she was dark. Was dark? Is she not dark anymore? Do you know that something has changed, that she is not dark anymore? We're believers, him and her are presently believers. She had, past tense. She was, past tense. Similar thing here. Now, she loves her dog. That's present tense. That's present tense. But then there's more present tense, but it's about them as a couple. Maisie is our. That's our. It's the only baby we have. So again, when he's using the present tense, it's about him and her, and that's in the present tense. When he's talking about her on her own, she had a lot to live for. Does she not anymore? I didn't like that word. She had a lot to live for. So where are we with Chris Antos? I've studied those words, and my conclusion hasn't changed a lot from the first couple of videos. I believe something significant happened the night before he reported her missing. Possibly that was an argument or a fight that involved her past. He certainly did not deny strongly that any argument had happened. He wants to give the impression that Shana was depressed. Potentially, he wants to give the impression that she wanted to end her life. But his description of the depression is really vague. It's very unconvincing. He doesn't elaborate about it at all. He jumps around in his words and says a lot of words to say not very much when he's talking about her mental state, her depression. And from the way that Chris Antos answers these questions, I think it's really possible that he has constructed a story, a narrative that he wishes to tell that is different from the truth. Overall, I think something happened on that Monday night that is key to what happened, to why Shana is no longer with us. Looking at his words, I don't believe it was a surprise to him that she wasn't home the day he reported her missing. I don't believe he searched for her in the way that he said he searched for her. I'm really, really worried about the fact he shows no concerns about her in the present, and he has not a hope at all that she will come back. He never, ever talks about hoping that she will come back. Now, look, this is not me saying that he is a murderer or that he killed her. I wasn't there, so I can't say that. I don't know what happened. I can only look at the words, and I strongly, strongly believe that in all the words we've looked at across 3 videos, he knew at the time he was speaking that Shana wasn't coming back. If you like this, there's more at neveratruerword.com on true crime and people in the news. We analyse the words. And on the Linktree address that's on your screen and also in the description, you can follow me on the socials so you know what's going on. And we'll see you for another video soon on Never a Truer Word.